Hi there, and welcome to She Spice. All I see are the things I lament. This is what entertainer and movie producer Nate Parker said on August 20, 2022, reviewing one of numerous terrible minutes in 2016. Recall him? Definitely. He used to be hailed as the following: Denzel Washington after his breakout execution in The Incomparable Debaters back in 2007, and in 2010, he was nearly given a role as Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma then. At that point, came 2016, the year he made his first time at the helm with the introduction of A Country. However, at that point, everything went upside down for the beyond 8 years, assuming anybody's even considered Nate Parker has experienced this cloudy focal point of, well, not ideal memories. You know the entire adventure about a decades-old charge from his school days that in some way re-emerged right as he was causing disturbances in the business. Sure, he was acquitted, yet the harm was done unexpectedly. This charming entertainer turned chief wound up on the outs with both the business and people in general, and this was all going down before Harvey Weinstein's destruction and the entire Me Too development removed. It's like he got given a one-way pass to Hollywood's boycott, and it's been a wild ride from that point onward. So right away, how about we jump into the untidy adventure that is Nate Parker's fall out of favor? As you most likely are aware, delving into subtleties attempting to truly to get a case isn't something I'm willing to do. As such move in his school days at Penn State in the last part of the 90s, Nate and his wrestling pal Gene Salon got blamed for some serious stuff, phrasing an individual understudy. Parker got off the snare, yet he was at first viewed as blameworthy, although that decision got upset later on. Quick forward 10 years or so, and Parker's at the center of attention with his gay-turner flick-breaking deals records at Sundance and preparing for the Oscars. However, at that point, the entire R case reemerges, and it's like a sensation that this has happened before. Once more, turns out the lady included unfortunately ended her own life back in 2012, which just fanned the fire we're discussing, occurred in 1999, with the one who is currently expired ended her own life presently. You'd figure Parker would have dealt with the poor bad dream like an expert. Rather, he staggered through a latest possible moment harm control mission, which just compounded the situation, and very much appreciate that the discussion about isolating the craftsmanship from the craftsman was up front. We should do a speedy overview into the muddled timetable of these charges and their consequence. Okay, so we should rewind to the late spring of 1999. Nate Parker, a sophomore at Penn State, meets this rookie lady, will be called Jane Doe because of a common companion. They kick it at her apartment, yet things take a turn when Parker needs to get lively, and she's not down for it. As Doe later affirms, "I would have rather not had intercourse, yet I would have rather not left it at nothing." The following day, Parker should meet Jane at a bar, yet he's elegantly late. While she's holding up, she tosses back 2 or 3 beverages. Kabam mahanga, near's where it gets chaotic in court. They raise the likelihood that Jane's drugs and the liquor could have taken her unconscious. So 12 p.m. rolls around, Parker at last appears, and they bop to Kabam Manga's place with a group. A companion later guaranteed she wasn't actually checking out and was talking exceptionally clearly, while Kava Mahanga says she was cognizant yet discernibly plastered. Another companion later affirms that Parker told her Jane Doe was incredibly inebriated. Parker later debates this expression. Doe didn't drink around me and sure didn't appear to be tipsy that evening. Once Doe enters the condo, accounts keep on wandering. Doe claims she nodded off rapidly and afterward awakened to track down Parker and his flatmate having sex with her. I simply recollect waking up and seeing Nate having with me. It was only a brief moment, and afterward, conscious once more. Someone on top of me other than Nate. In his explanation to the police, Feston claims that Doe maneuvered him by the hand into Parker's room, started having intercourse with Parker, and signaled for him to join Parker. Kava Mahanga later affirms that Parker let him know he and Celeste had run a train on Doe anyway. Another understudy named Tamara Kangas, who had driven Parker and Doe to the loft, later affirms that he and Doe had both been in Parker's room watching him have intercourse with Doe. There was a grin all over in light of the fact that he discovered us watching him. Kangas says that as that is the point at which he made the movement for us to come in, he guarantees that he told Celestine you would rather not go inside the room and left after Celestine disregarded him and began to have socks with Doe. I calculated that she was there for Nate and not, Nate and Jean. He says during the preliminary guard, attorneys contend Kangas's declaration was impacted by police dangers to charge him close by Parker, and Doe claims she wakes to find Parker having sex with her again. Parker later argued that this was also consensual. She was conscious and gave no indications of uneasiness subsequent to leaving the loft. Doe says she goes through the day in the most awful agony I have at any point felt in my life. I was unable to walk. Then, on September 99, Jane Doe chooses to trust in Dr. Anna Shawcross, letting the cat out of the bag about what went down with Parker. Dr. Shawcross checks things out and sees a few warnings like aggravation down there, indicating either contamination or some unpleasant stuff happening. Come October, after some grounds guiding Jane, she chooses to take the jump and reports the affirmed contamination or some unpleasant stuff happening. Come October, after some grounds guiding Jane, she chooses to take the jump and reports the affirmed contamination or some unpleasant stuff happening. Come October, after some grounds guiding Jane, she chooses to take the jump and reports the affirmed contamination or some unpleasant stuff happening. Come October, after some grounds guiding Jane, she chooses to take the jump and reports the affirmed contamination or some unpleasant stuff happening. Come October, after some grounds guiding Jane, she chooses to take the jump and reports the affirmed A to the police and state school. However, at that point, things get considerably worse. More chaotic Parker and his pal Celestine visited up with the police, swearing all over that Jane was completely fine and the deed was consensual. Parker's later cases, the investigator was all sort of warmed during examining and rambling off concerning the entire wrestling crew being a lot of miscreants. Quick forward to October 21 and the mallet drops. Both Parker and Celestine get hit with charges that incorporate RNSA sending shockwaves through the grounds. Parker figures out how to scrape up bail cash yet, not prior to being hit with a no-contact request with Jane. As per Jane, that doesn't prevent the provocation train from moving in. She guarantees they start an entire mission of terrorizing against her in any event, showing up where they shouldn't be, then adding to the show. Jane reports the supposed provocation to Penn Express 7 days after the fact, that on October 29, 1999, Jane Doe's claim gives everything away that some fat cat at the college, Joseph Pukey, tells Parker and Celeste to avoid. Jane advance noticed them that ejection could be on the table on the off chance that they don't get along. Quick forward to November 8th, and Jane's once again at it sending more objections to the college about the provocation levels hitting Pete insane. She's discussing Parker and his team nagging her all over grounds, yelling a wide range of frightful stuff in any event, employing a detective for hire to tail her. Yet it doesn't stop there. By November 17th, Jane's inclination, the heaviness, all things considered, endeavoring and afterward attempting once more on November 23 RD. She's not keeping down, documenting more grumblings and attempting to get the college to move forward and take care of Parker and sells jokes, yet it appears as though Jane's request failed to receive any. Notice the college's reaction. They mix her off grounds like that. We'll tackle all that to exacerbate the situation. They go on, head and distribute her new digits in the understudy catalog against her desirous essence. Tiley giving the go-ahead for greater provocation. Come January 2000, Jane's had enough. She exits Penn State yet keeps close by in state school. Yet even beyond grounds, she's actually managing the aftermath. The badgering following her any place she goes on. October 5, 2001, following a 3-day preliminary course, is seen as at fault, for Parker is found not guilty. The guard had over and over raised clothing on the night being referred to, as well as her set of experiences of drinking, and her past consensual experience with Parker. Nate Parker and Jean Celestine affirmed that the experience was consensual. Parker was vindicated, and Celestine was sentenced, yet it was upset on allure, and he was never retried. Quick forward to November 20th, 2001, and Celestine is condemned to 6 to a year in jail, lower than the compulsory sentence of 3 to 6 years. After different state executives send letters of help to pass judgment on Thomas Clear, the prison sentence is deferred to permit the most time to graduate, a choice that flashes of contention nearby. A casualties rights bunch calls his potential graduation an outright outrage, while the school's Dark Council, of which Celestine is a part, pushes for him to be permitted to walk, noticing that everything except one of the hearers for the situation, who is white, is likewise white. On December 7, 2001, Celestine is ousted from Penn State for a considerable length of time, with the chance of graduating after his ejection. The school claims it has been trusting that the case will be settled in the overall set of laws prior to making a move against both of the men. Parker moved to Oklahoma close to this time, graduating in 2003. Then, in spring 2002, the ladies' regulation undertaking documents a claim against Penn State for Jane Doe's sake, saying that the college didn't satisfactorily safeguard her from the supposed badgering. December 5, 2002 comes and Penn State settles with Doe for $17,500. The college doesn't concede the issue yet and consents to changing its badgering arrangements. Her legal counselor tells journalists the suit wasn't about cash. The basic component for her from the start was changing strategies. Subscribe She Spice for more videos.